Good morning, Little Masters, and welcome back to today's Tolkien Times. I'm the Man of the West, also from the Prancing Pony podcast. Let's get started with Week 59's Word Nerd Wednesday. Now, as with our previous Word Nerd Wednesdays, I'm going to pick a word or two from the other episodes that week and do a deep dive on them. Today, we're going to look at a few words that came up in our Middle-earth Map Monday as we looked at the end of Arthedain with the death of Arvedui, last king, after his stay with the Lossoth in Forochel. In fact, all of today's words are in that sentence. We'll start with the easiest one, Arthedain. Now, Tolkien never gives us a direct translation of the name, but Hammond and Skull suggest in The Reader's Companion to The Lord of the Rings that it could mean realm of the Edain. Certainly, the Edain element fits that precisely. Now, as for the Arth element, according to eldamo.org, that's short for Elvish Data Model, the Arth might be a form of Arthor, meaning realm. Now, we get that Arthor meaning realm in the famous Parma Eldalameron 17. Now, there, under the entry for Arnor, we read that the name Arnor is a reduced form of older Aranor, Quenya Arandore, Kingsland. Another name that soon fell out of general colloquial use was Forolandie, or Folondie, or in full, Turmen Folandieva, realm of the North Harborage, in Sindarin, Arthor na Forlonnas. Now, right below that entry, for the entry for Gondor, we see the Sindarin name for it was Arthor na Chalonas, realm of the South Harborage. So, Arth is realm, and then Edain, well, for the Edain. Now, Arvedui's name is pretty easy as well. The first element is something you almost certainly recognize by now, the AR or ARA prefix meaning noble or royal, like Aragorn or Arwen. Now, the next element is the lenited form Vedui of the element Medui, meaning last. Now, we see this in one other spot in The Lord of the Rings. When Glorfindel encounters Strider and the hobbits, he cries out, "Ai na Vedui Dunadan, my Gavanen." Now, in Parma Eldalameron 17, Tolkien translates that directly for us as, at last Dunadan. Well met. So, Vedui is last. But how does a king get the name Last King when, he probably still wants a realm to give to his eldest son, right? Well, Appendix A tells us, Arvedui was indeed the last king, as his name signifies. It is said that this name was given to him at his birth by Malbeth the seer, who said to his father, Arvedui you shall call him, for he will be the last in Arthedain. Though a choice will come to the Dunedain, and if they take the one that seems less hopeful, then your son will change his name and become king of a great realm. If not, then much sorrow and many lives of men shall pass until the Dunedain arise and are united again. And since we have a little bit of time, let's look at that choice that came to the Dunedain. On the death of Ondaher and his sons, Arvedui of the North Kingdom claimed the crown of Gondor as the direct descendant of Isildur and as the husband of Firiel, only surviving child of Ondaher. The claim was rejected. Now, the rejection of that claim was led in particular by Pelendur, the steward, and their argument was that the crown and royalty of Gondor belonged solely to the heirs of Meneldil, son of Anarion, to whom Isildur relinquished this realm. Now, arguably, that is a stretch to claim that Isildur relinquished the realm. I mean, he just went north to take up the high kingship, but whatever. And certainly that was the point that Arvedui made. Elendil had two sons, of whom Isildur was the elder and the heir of his father. We have heard that the name of Elendil stands to this day at the head of the line of the kings of Gondor, since he was accounted the high king of all lands of the Dunedain. While Elendil still lived, the conjoint rule in the south was committed to his sons, but when Elendil fell, Isildur departed to take up the high kingship of his father and committed the rule in the south in like manner to the son of his brother. He did not relinquish his royalty in Gondor, nor intend that the realm of Elendil should be divided forever. Well, did he hear back on this clarification on this claim? Just crickets. To this, Gondor made no answer. The crown was claimed by Eärnil, the victorious captain, and it was granted to him with the approval of all the Dunedain in Gondor, since he was of the royal house. He was the son of Siriondil, son of Kalamakil, son of Archirias, brother of Narmakil II. Arvedui did not press his claim, for he had neither the power nor the will to oppose the choice of the Dunedain of Gondor. Yet the claim was never forgotten by his descendants, even when their kingship had passed away. So that is why his name was Last King. But let's move on to the Lossoth, the snowmen of Forochel. Now the name Lossoth is Sindarin. It contains the element los, snow. We see that in Finuilos, Snow White, one of the names of Varda, as well as Uilos, Everwhite, one of the names that elves give to the flower Simlumina. But it also contains the element Hoth, which sadly is not related to the ice planet Hoth, despite the similar environment. Though now I'm imagining the Losoth on Tauntauns and Arvedui cutting one open to stay warm and avoid Imperial droids. I don't know. Anyway, sorry for the Star Wars crossover. No, the problem is that Hoth in Sindarin means host or horde, but it's almost always used in a bad sense or an evil sense. We hear about the Balkoth. Those are the people of the Easterlings that were related to the Wainriders. We also have the Sindarin word for orcs, Glamhoth, which means the din horde or yelling horde, or even Gaurhoth, the plural for werewolves. So arguably, Losoth sounds like it's an outsider name for the Losoth, and a bit derogatory at that, but we're never told what they call themselves. Now, I happen to like what they call themselves in Lord of the Rings Online. There they are called the Lumivaki, but I know that's not exactly canon. I just enjoy the game. Now, let's go ahead and do some quick and easy word nerdery on Forochel. We talked about this the other day. You already know that the Foro element means north. But what about the element Chel? Well, in Parma El Delamberon 17, Words and Phrases in The Lord of the Rings, Tolkien tells us that means ice or freeze. And you've heard this before, but dropped to just hell, as in the Hel Karaxa, the grinding ice. So, Forochel is northern ice. And folks, that does it for today's Word Nerd Wednesday. Come back next week as we wander the wide, wild, wonderful world of words weekly on Wednesdays. And if there's a word you want to know more about, please let me know by emailing barnabas@theprancingponypodcast.com. Please visit patreon.com/Tolkien Times to learn how you can support the show, get an ad-free feed, a monthly hangout with me, bonus episode every week, and more. And then join me again tomorrow on today's Tolkien Times for Third Age Thursday. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Please follow or subscribe in your podcast apps and follow @Tolkien Times on all your social media. Finally, as Faramir says, go with the goodwill of all good men.